I think people need to be very concerned about the wind on Friday afternoon into Saturday if this forecast holds up. I also think the conditions are very firm and fast. Like if you're up, you could check Max Homa off your list. He's right here in front of me.
Ask him if he's going to win. You won't.
No, I won't. I mean, you got to remember, I'm the only guy sitting here in front of a step and repeat with like a microphone and a camera. He's like awkwardly trying to avoid me right now.
At Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog. Code Mayo at Underdog. If you haven't done that yet, they got brand new payouts favorable for us, the players. Keith Stewart is on location at PGA National for the Cognizant Classic. It must be nice to get yourself out of the Northeast and just show up in Florida where there's no snow.
You know what, Pat? I had to head down about a day early because the blizzard that hit New York City, Boston, and you know, thoughts and prayers go out to all my friends for sure. But I'm happy to be in Florida, and you'll probably hear some action going on around me here. I'm outside amongst the people. Right here in the flash interview area, and players, caddies, everyone's just walking by. It's there's a lot of activity, it's bustling, and it certainly is nice out. The sun is shining.
Yeah, if you see any players who are walking by, feel free to bring them onto the show. I mean, that's definitely allowed.
As long as I don't tell them what we're talking about, they'd be happy to do it. But as soon as we bring up, you know what, then they start running for cover.
Hey, we can just ask them about the course, because this course is played much easier than the history at PGA National, and a lot of that has been attributed to the overseed that has been on the fairway the past 2 years. What is that looking like this year? Because Blickle and I were talking on the DraftKings show that he didn't know if they were doing the full overseed, or if it took, or if it didn't. What are you seeing out there?
So this is the most key, probably 15 minutes of what we're going to talk about all of today. So everyone lock in and pay attention, pull over if you're driving. This is the important stuff. It's been very cold pretty much everywhere down here in the United States all winter. And it's been very cold, uncharacteristically in Florida. We all made fun of the LPGA quitting a day early in Orlando when there were sub-freezing temperatures. Well, it was nearly as cold down here in Southeast Florida. And from walking around, and Matty Gannon and I were walking around, checking out the golf course, as he always does. But when he and I always get to the same spot, we try to work in tandem with one another. It's nice not to be always alone out here. And probably the most common theme that's going to come out of this particular Cognizant Classic is that there is going to be a ton of rub of the green. And what I mean by that is that because it was so cold all winter, they did overseed again. And the attempt was to do it similar to the way they did it last year. And, they used to overseed here for the first 7 or 8 years of this tournament here at PGA National. Up until 2014, they used to do an overseed. Then they stopped doing it. They went straight Bermuda for the tournament, and then they went back to it last year. Well, because of the cold temperatures, it has taken in some spots great, much like last year, to look lush and green. And in other spots, it hasn't. And that's what I mean by rub of the green. There's going to be some luck involved with what happens this week here at the tournament. Balls that may, get launched into the rough, they might find themselves a sparse lie, or they might find themselves a thick lie. There's going to be a little bit more volatility to what's going on. And the area I see the most trouble is, much like we saw out in WM at the Phoenix, is that some of these Bermuda lies that should be overseeded, and they're in the low areas, and they're very, very tight and sparse. Chipping off those things, oh man, the guys that aren't good, with the wedge around the green, they are going to be supremely tested, because even the ones that are going to have their hands full from some of these really, really, really tight lies. Remember, cold, firm. I mean, it really does look fast and firm right now. It'll be interesting to see how the weather plays out this week as well.
Right now, the weather outlook looks like there's very little wind in the forecast, which I feel like will contribute to lower scores than maybe that we don't expect, because we now do expect so many low scores at this course after seeing the past 2 years. But I would imagine that the winner, if you get to minus 17, you're probably going to win.
Vegas set the over-under for the winning score at minus 16.5. So 267.5. And it'll be interesting because Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon looks like it's going to get a little bit windy because there's a front coming in on Friday. There's a good chance now. It hasn't rained here in a while. It's been very cold. It's very firm. It's very fast. When guys are hitting approach shots into the greens, it sounds like plywood. Even they're a little bit surprised because some of them who were coming from the West Coast know how wet it was week after week after week out there. So even their reactions are a little bit off. So you're going to see some bounce, certainly on Thursday and Friday. When the storm system, if it does hit on Friday into Saturday, ending on Sunday morning, it's not going to dump an inch of rain based upon what they're saying right now. But the wind in the afternoon is going to get gusts over 20. And most people forget because, yes, you see all the water and you see all the Florida and palm trees around this golf course, but we're only like 2.5, 3 miles from the Atlantic Ocean. And that's why it gets so windy here. I think the afternoon rounds, especially on Friday and Saturday afternoon, are going to get pretty challenging for these guys.
So what would you be focusing on now, knowing these conditions, knowing about, because you mentioned the around the green game, because historically the around the green game here has been pretty easy relative to most places, but is it even something that we can factor in that you might draw a good lie, you might draw a bad lie? Because you mentioned we saw that in Phoenix. You had mentioned that about TPC Scottsdale on this show, and we saw that play out when Scotty's chunking chips right in front of him.
I think you're going to see similar situations like that, and you're going to see it in the rough. Either, a guy's playing a par 5, and they both hit it in the right rough, and then one guy can get a fairway wood medal on it, and one guy can't. Like, you're going to see situations like that. So I think that when it comes down to, we're going to start always at this place with approach and Bermuda grass putting. But I think the third thing for me is definitely going to be around the green acumen versus strokes gained off the tee. I mean, that's definitely where I'm leaning right now, looking at things. Yes, they've added a little bit of yardage, 20 yards to the second hole, 30 yards to the 18th hole. But those are holes where guys use driver already anyway. So that's not really going to change the dynamic of how anyone plays this golf course. What's going to make a difference is when you're chopping your way around this landscape and you end up with an unfortunate lie or break or a really, really tight lie for a chip that's like normally a standard up and down, you're going to see those guys kind of stall out in their rounds. And I think that to answer your question specifically, after approach and putting, I'm definitely leaning and paying attention to having a couple guys on the card that can definitely chip and pitch the ball well off Bermuda grass.
Let's get to that Bermuda putting to begin with. Do you know who in his 4 rounds on Bermuda is the best putter on Bermuda?
The best putter on Bermuda besides me? He only has 4 rounds.
He only played the Sony this year. He just came over from the DP World Tour.
Yeah, you got me off the top of my head.
John Perry. Number 1. Then Rasmus, this is from the past 2 years per average. Only 10 rounds for Rasmus Højgaard, but he's number 2. Frankie Sappin, Dan Brown in his 4 rounds. Now we get to the guys with the bigger chunks of 40, 50, 60 type rounds. Mackenzie Hughes, Davis Riley, Nico Echeverria, who I have bet this week, Snedeker, Hostler, Kevin Roy, Sammy Valimaki. Only 4 rounds for my guy, Shooter Sean Yelamaraju from Canada. He's up there. Kuchar, Todd, the Todd father. He's back. Bezadenhout, Marty Dew. And Marty Dew fits my bucket hat theory about winning in Florida.
Well, I mean, the Kirk Triplett and everyone else over the years.
Well, hey, Joe Highsmith last year, Malnati the year before that.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Highsmith, starting this week at 310-1. Is a strong comeback to defend your title.
Yeah, it's not good, but he got his win. He's on tour for the next 2 years. He's fine.
Yep, Malnati's wearing out that bucket hat right now, just trying to keep a spot.
So, what have the players and the caddies been saying? Because I know that you've been mingling around with a lot of people. Like, who have you seen? What are they saying?
Well, a number of guys, like I said, they were surprised to see that there was so much bounce here. The guys have been out on the West Coast for a long time. They don't know how cold it has been, what the growing conditions have been like, what the turf conditions are like. It's super, super firm. And as a result, I think that the guys have to make some adjustments right off the bat. And I also see the one thing that really stuck out to me this morning on the practice tee was all the trajectory work. And this is a theme that I'm going to get into as well. So, one theme that most pundits aren't going to be talking about unless they're here. I'm sure Matty will be talking about it on his shows, but is that definitely you're going to have to pay attention to the lies in the short game. The second thing is that I really think the wind is going to play a factor as we get into Friday and Saturday. This place is going to kind of kick up like it used to. And I really want guys that low apex, low trajectory, The guys that we find play really good, like, I don't know, on Bermuda grass greens in Bermuda, or the guys that play good at Sea Island, like those types of those golf courses with those, standard Bermuda style greens, but also that are, like, we see a lot of wind on those golf courses and they tend to be fairly target oriented. Those would be the types of guys that I personally like this week, because I'm watching them all hit balls on the range, and the guys that are just hitting moon balls, either A, they haven't played here before, or they just don't care. But I'm super concerned about guys that put the ball up high versus guys that love to flight it low and just hit bullets all the time.
So Berger, Kanaya, Adam Svensson, Toasty, Aaron Rye. Those are your 4 players with the lowest apexes in the field.
Yeah, and then I would just rate those guys out for how good they are on approach, and certainly how good they are with the putter. A lot of people are going to talk about Daniel Berger for sure, late addition to the field. Speaking about addition, subtraction in the field, this was you just can't make this stuff up. So I'm walking down the hallway today, going from the media breakfast back into the media center. Who do I pass walking by? Who has like a to-go box from his breakfast? It's Adam Scott. I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? Like, he's still staying here because he has to play TGL tonight. Like, he's just walking down the hall. I'm like, hi, Adam. He's like, hey, how you doing? I was like, I couldn't play. It's great. I mean, you got to love it. Sometimes you can't make this stuff up. It's hysterical.
How are the organizers, and like, what's the vibe of all of because like 3 of the top 5 guys on the betting board have pulled out of this tournament already?
Oh, I mean, it's like 3 seconds after the Titanic hit the iceberg. I mean, everyone's running around with a piece of papers in their hand, bumping into one another. Like, they don't know what to do. I mean, for me, I was out on the range, this morning holding court, and I was saying, I think this is a tremendous opportunity. I said, especially for my industry, I said, people love full field, with the cut events, right, on golf courses that have a ton of volatility, which have shown in the past that they have triple digit winners. I said, some guy's going to lay down $10 like this week on a guy that's 100 to 1 to win 1,000. And I said, he'll love your event for the rest of your life. I said, you guys need to lean into that. I said, forget all of this. Like, nobody feels sorry for you guys. In a week, they'll forget about you. I said, you guys need to lean into these storylines and like, who can win? People to this day, I wrote about this in the newsletter. People to this day still bet Keith Mitchell every single week for what he did here for one time in 2019. It's like, that's why you and I love to do what we do. And this is the perfect style of week that you and I it's totally in our wheelhouse. And with me being here, I feel really confident about the type of guys that we're targeting.
So looking right now on the rabbit hole, betspertsgolf.com/Mayo to get yourself 25% off. In the win, here are the best players right now, and this is being categorized as 17 mile per hour or more wins. So this is from the past 18 months. Some guys have big samples, some guys have small samples, and what we're looking at here. I also put in moderate type wind as well, so from 10 to 20. So just to increase our sample of rounds. Now, Rasmus Nergaard Peterson is number 1 on this list. He only has 8 rounds because he's new to the PGA Tour. Yeah. Lowry, Ryan Gerard, Hao Tong, Nikolai Højgaard, Alex Smalley, my guy, Sexy Roy, Kevin Roy is up there, Nico Echeverria, Daniel Berger, Sammy Valimaki, Chris Ventura, Dylan Wu, Jesper Svensson are all names near the very top of this list.
I mean, there's several guys there that you just listed that I'm betting, but I'll just start at the top of the board. Like Nikolai Højgaard, he's hitting the ball incredibly well, and he's a good win player, and he can flight the hell out of it. Right. So he's got the power that needed to win on the tour in this day and age. And then he's also got the touch, and he's obviously playing very, very well. I mean, the last time we saw him was I think Phoenix, when he came in 3rd.
Yep,
and he came back from apologies. But the point being is that so now if you want to talk about a weaker field, you look at a guy like that. I mean, I measure that talent level against some of the other guys here, and then certainly I think he has a very good chance to win. I love him there, but there's other names there like Smalley. Like, this could be his breakthrough moment. I love a guy. I can't remember, he was just on your list there. Well, Valimaki makes a ton of sense, right? His iron game has been impeccable. He doesn't putt POA well. We come back to Bermuda grass. I don't know, when's the last time? When did he win on tour? When he putted on Bermuda grass on the East Coast, right? Like along the coast near the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, like that, those are the types of guys in my mind, because, when you're out here and you watch them hit golf balls, they don't just swing like what you're used to with your regular foursome on the weekend, where everyone just scoops the ball at impact and hits moon balls all day long. These guys like really control the trajectory. They pinch that thing against the turf. And those are the guys that we're looking for this week. And those are the guys on that list.
Let's talk about these bets then. Who have you bet on? Because I have my entire list here of losers who aren't going to win, but I will waste money on anyway. Also, shout out to you for Gino winning us in Thailand last week. That was amazing.
Gino in that field, that was like printing money, man. That was like, and she's back again this week. They all hopped on a plane. They went 2 hours south. Now they're down in Singapore. It's Gino, 71 of her friends, about a dozen of which are sponsors exemptions. She's plus 320 to win again. I mean, you got to fire up the Thitical parlays again this weekend for sure. I mean, especially because you could probably get, one of these jokers to come in for like a top 20 at like 10 to 1, and then pair that with her, and you can get yourself a nice little parlay. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
Charlie Hull is playing this week, and I don't think she played last week.
She did not play last week, and uniquely enough, because I follow all of what the LPGA ladies are up to. Charlie Hull won recently. She won the Saudi event, the Aramco Saudi event on the Ladies European Tour. So the ladies took so many weeks off between the Hilton Grand vacations, 3-round tournament. I will say that all year, 3-round tournament. And between that and Thailand. So there was an LET event in the middle of all that in Saudi Arabia, and they've been known to pay people to show up, and those ladies were smart enough to take the money, and they showed up. Charlie Hull won that event. So she comes in as the second favorite. I think she's like plus 1,200. But Lydia played great last week. There's a couple ladies in that field that always play that golf course very, very well. Hannah Green would be another one. Ayaka Fudue. I'll let everyone that's watching try to figure out how to spell that so they can go find that bet. But, for sure that they call this one the HSBC Asia's Major. Take that for what it is. Gino probably wins by 2, but there are some parlays to be played.
So plus 333. I mean, I went hard on the plus 375 last week. It got to 4 by the time the tournament actually rolled around.
Yep.
Didn't get that. I got the plus 375. It was okay. I gave up 25 cents on it. It's fine. A winner's a winner. I like having that. I'm only going to fire one bullet. Would you recommend firing at Gino again?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. Like, without Nelly there, she's a far step above. Again, and this is a harder golf course, and they're going to play in the rain, so the challenge gets harder. She's a better player. It's like putting Scotty in the field at CJ, but making it rain all the time and have that golf course be harder, and there's no one else there.
Yeah,
the Amex was like a birdie fest,
and only have 80 players.
Of which 10 of which are like sponsors exemptions, which are like local heroes. So now she's down to like basically having to beat a dozen women. And she's so good, she creates her own luck, that sort of situation. We saw her down the stretch. If you stayed up overnight on Saturday last week and you watch, like, she just, at the end of the tournament, she's just that much better at ball striking that things tend to go her way. The one time I bet her last year at Evian and she lost, I mean, somebody had to chip in for, Grace Kim beat her, and she went 7 under par for her last 7 holes of the tournament, including 2 playoff holes. Like, okay, I tip my cap or my bucket cap to you since I'm in Florida. To you, Grace Kim, great, you got her. But more often than not, Gino in this type of field is she's even more of a heavy favorite, like I said last week, than what you see from the odds board.
And you think that's the same this week?
Yes.
Okay, so Gino's going on the card at plus 333. See if I can find maybe put her up there with a Gerard top 5 or something like that, and we'll get that up to like 16 to 1 or something. We'll see.
Oh yeah, I mean like a Lowry top 5 with her would be a good move.
Yeah, hell, even a Lowry top 10. Who cares?
Oh yeah, top 10,
top 10, sure. Top 20 to make the
All
cut.
Right, so
who knows?
You were asking, to make the cut. Yeah.
This is a weird one for making the cut because guys, 2 bad holes and you missed the cut.
Yeah, what's the average cut line since it went to since we got to this schedule and the sky is falling, is about 3.5 under par. So you've got to play a little better than you historically had to here in order to survive that cut line. You're right. You get to even par, you're definitely not making the weekend, or even probably -1 this week. So
yeah, it's been -4 each of the past 2 seasons. Now it seems like you're saying it's going to play a little bit more difficult. I'll not be at the hardest course. I think that, I guess, the differentiation that we need to make, it's played extremely easy the past 2 years. You're not saying it's going to turn into a -6 winner all of a sudden, but some guys will have some bad shots.
Yeah, and they'll add up over 72 holes, and the cut line will probably be like more like -2, 2.25, and then the winning score will be right around 15 to 17 under par. Especially if the wind works out the way it looks like it's going to now, and it gets breezy over the weekend, and you get a little leaderboard gravity on Sunday. Strange things happen late on a Sunday afternoon, and things tend to fall from first to second to eighth, whatever. So but you know what? The comments people are going to go crazy if I don't answer your question. So Nikolai, for sure, as an outright. I do like Alex Smalley and Slam and Sammy Valimaki. So I'll share those with the rest of the people. They need to read it.
Look, I'll be straight with you. We talk all the time about getting better at work, sports, in life, whatever it might be. But most guys ignore the one thing that actually drives all of it: your head. Therapy isn't a weakness, it's a tool. I've seen it help guys deal with work stress, family stuff, breakups, addictions, whatever it might be. Just getting unstuck when everything feels heavy. The problem? It's usually a pain to get started. Long wait list, huge cost, total hassle, you know the deal. That's why Rula is different. Rula makes therapy simple, affordable, and fast. They work with most major insurance plans, and sessions can cost as little as $15. You answer a few quick questions, they match you with a licensed vetted therapist that actually fits what you need, and you can be talking to someone as soon as the next day. No weeks of waiting, no guessing if you pick the right person. If you've been putting this off, stop! Go to rula.com/Mayo and get started today. That's RULA.com/Mayo. Once again, that's rula.com/Mayo. Take the first step. Take control of your mental health. The new year's here, and if you're like me, you're gonna want to get your house back on track. Considering I've been through 8 weeks of renovations, my house still isn't back on track, but I do need some new stuff. That's where WAYFAIR came into play and was quite handy and had some awesome stuff. WAYFAIR is basically a one-stop shop for everything your home needs. We got new appliances, and now we need crap in the kitchen that matches that stuff. Or so I was told. Go on to WAYFAIR, get it. Stuff to put in the drawers to separate everything with our new cabinets, also on WAYFAIR. Complete game changer. It's been awesome. And I haven't had to go to the store. I've just been able to do it from home, which I find is a big win for me. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track for the new year for way less. So head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com, WAYFAIR. Every style, every home. Here's my betting card for the week, all right? I played all of these with the top 3 each way. So I did get better odds than the original outright, but I'm to have to play half my bet for the outright, half my bet for the top 3, which pays 1/5 of what the outright is going to be. So for Gerard, if he comes inside the top 3, let's say he comes in second place, you get around like 6 plus 625 for his top 3, which, I would very much take in the situation. He is my top player. He's the first guy that I wanted to bet when it came through. Very good win player, low apex height. So if the win does crop up, I feel very good about him in that respect. He played pretty well here last year. He's the hottest player in this field coming in, even dating back to last year and through what we've seen so far. At Riv last week, he was actually quite good ball striking wise. Couldn't putt. It was the first time all year he couldn't putt. And I'm not too concerned about that because PGA National has had a history of rewarding guys who are not very good on the greens and who are absolute flushers, big ball strikers. He is the best ball striker in the field over the past 6 months. So I'm going with Ryan Gerard. If you have not got in on Ryan Gerard yet, here's the issue. Ryan Gerard is now down after all the WDs to what's the best number? So the best number like locally in market I can find is 17 or 18 to 1. But if you live in Canada, outside of Ontario, and go to coolbet.com right now, you can hit the link in the description. You can get yourself the bonus. In that PME exclusives tab, you can still get Ryan Gerard at 21 to 1. I don't think you're going to find a better number anywhere.
I'll tell you a great Ryan Gerard story. Last night we're at TGL. It's Matt Gannon, it's Joe Idoni, and I, and Ryan Gerard walks by. And Idoni goes after him and starts talking to him. He says, "You're not going to withdraw, are you?" He had to give him the full inquisition. It was absolutely hysterical. Right. But speaking of which, I have a special guest for you right now here, Mr. Pat Mayo. All right. He's going to jump in here on the camera for a second.
Here we are. We're
Hey,
live.
what's up, Matt?
We're live, Palm Beach Gardens. I know I can't hear you guys right now, but I just walked off walking up the course, and we have some reports that the course is a tad bit firmer than it was the past two Joe Conda Classic. So Keith, I'm sure, was telling you guys that, but I can confirm from the grounds that is the case.
Thank you, Matt Gannon. You can follow Matt over on Twitter. You can get his work at Shippin' Nation as well. He's over there with Tambo and doing some great work over there. Good to see him boots on the ground on the scene. Does that affect, Keith, does that affect your picks at all? Because I'm not really that worried. I tried to pick the players ball striking wise who I really wanted to go with. I mean, I have some guys who suck at chipping, but I just need them to hit greens in regulation, and then I don't have to worry about that.
I think this particular week, there's maybe like a 10% effect. Some weeks it's 1%. Some weeks it may be up to 25%, right? It kind of depends on how things are playing out. Losing a big part of the top half of this field and turning this more into a wide open, kind of wild card event is interesting to me. And I think the more we can kind of like get granular with some of these details, I think we have a better chance of finding which long shot might pop up the board. And not all of them are going to win, but you could throw a couple of those guys on your card to top 20, top 10, even top 40 and get some like build a really nice positive placement card. To me, I think it's all worth it. I mean, I've been coming out here for 4 years just for this reason, and I see Matty out here all the time. And, he's always boots on the ground. He spends his whole day just walking the golf course, like sniffing the grass. The kid's, he's awesome. He's the best.
Getting them steps in is what you're saying.
Yeah, he's always getting the steps in. But I'm telling you, the little things that you pick up from being out here and seeing the guys practice and watching the practice range and then watching the types of clubs that they're using on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays as they prepare. Like, forget warming up. If you come to see a golf tournament on a Thursday, all those guys are in their routine. They're doing what they always do, what their DNA is, and what they're comfortable with, right? They basically have their launch monitor down there, just trying to figure out how their body feels and what their carry distance is for the day for their stock clubs, and then they just go and they go play. On these other days, they're messing with equipment. They're talking to their coaches. They are working on different types of shots. And when you watch them here and you're looking at the level and the amount of attention that they're spending on their trajectory and with the certain clubs that they're hitting, this place is just wall to wall mid-iron shots. So those 8, those 7, those 6 irons, right? Like honing those clubs in and then finding, watching a guy hit balls. It's like a Keith Mitchell who loves to hit driver. He's going to hit drivers the whole time. But then you have some of the guys that are more positional players. And it's like, okay, well, what's going to be his go-to club this week? And then go back and look and say, okay, well, how does that fit different areas of the golf course, right? Is his 3-wood just what he has to do, or is him using that really an edge for him versus, maybe other places that are super driver heavy? To me, it's very interesting. I love me. I love the puzzle. I'm a golf geek. I've been a pro my whole life. So it's like, I just find this stuff fascinating. Like, I could stand on the range all day if I didn't tan like a rotisserie chicken, and just watch these guys work on stuff. It's just so much fun.
Have you seen Brooks, Homa, or Will Zalatoris out there yet?
No, and no.
So big pass on those 3?
Homa would be the only one I'd be thinking about. The other 2, yeah, definitely a pass. I talked to a bunch of volunteers. Volunteers love to talk back. They love to tell you who they've seen. Brooks has been spending some time over here. It doesn't surprise me that he's not around when it gets busy.
Okay. Yeah. Here's all the bets I got. So again, they're boosted up on the outright because I'm playing the top 3 each way on these. So Gerard 33, Davis Thompson 60, Hao Tong Lee 80, and Nico Echeverria 90-1. Those are the big 4. My favorite bet of the week is Johnny Kiefer 110-1. He is down way in the market right now, so hitting that number early was good because he became a popular bet. Then people withdrew and it crushed his number. So Kiefer at 110, David Ford at 125-1, and then the 2 bombs I went with, super bombs, Andrew Putnam 250-1, and then Zach Bauschu 450-1. First round leaders, I played Adam Svensson, Smotherman, and Bauschu all at 110-1.
Who are you thinking for a one and done? Because Xander wasn't a bad strategy last week.
It was no, Xander wasn't. Unfortunately, I swapped out Rory for Xander after we spoke, so that was no good. I'd be in the money right now in the big one if that was the case. But that's okay. I have 4 in the other one. Use Rory, use some Xander. Everything's looking okay. I agree with you. I think the right process to getting to Xander was smart. This week, Blickle and I talked about this a little bit, that it's not that you can't use Lowry. It's just I'm not going to use Lowry because I don't think that he's that different than everyone else here. So between Lowry, Nikolai Højgaard, Ryan Gerard, and Michael Thorbjornsen, I think you're probably looking at 60 to 70% of picks in one and done this week. So if you just don't use those 4 guys, now one of those 4 guys might win and you're going to need them, but I don't think that they're all that dissimilar from other guys at exactly the same betting odds. Like, you really want to use Nikolai Højgaard? Listen, he might win, he might not win. You know who probably has about as good of a chance of overall winning this event? Rasmus Højgaard, who no one's going to use.
That's a great point. You know, I love this conversation because, you know, when you get into the idea that you only get to use someone once and using them against a group of people, we're getting closer to that transitional major. The majors start. You start to get like monthly, like really big purses coming back to back. I mean, the next 2 weeks are good enough for what, 8.5 million total, right? For first place.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's. I mean, you could do a lot of damage with those 2 picks for sure. I don't know. I also like to think about who's the most well-rounded player right now that's playing the best. And in an event like this, where you can't win the contest, you just don't want to come up with a goose egg.
For sure, but even if you strike out in this tournament, next week in the Players is way more important. You can get 0 here and still have the most if you just do really well the next 2 weeks. Unless you get a top 3 here, it's not that this amount is insignificant, as it turns out. It's just the prize pool is so much lower that this is a better opportunity to differentiate yourself in this spot rather than just riding the chalk. In my opinion, if Lowry wins, then I'm going to look foolish when it comes down to it. Like, I've bet on Ryan Gerard to win. He's my favorite play on this entire board. I don't think that I'm going to use him in my like $1,000 one and done. I'm going to pick someone else who probably has a slightly worse chance of winning, but is going to be 1/8 as owned. Like Keith Mitchell. Like, what's the reason not to use Keith Mitchell? Like, statistically profiling out, there's no real difference between him and Michael Thorbjornsen right now.
Yeah, I mean, after watching Thorbjornsen last night, I would take Keith Mitchell personally. I mean, I'm not going to go any further there because you'll make fun of me for it. But you know, you bring up an interesting point, though. It's like sometimes I think about like, well, if where else am I going to use Nikolai Højgaard? You know, this year, probably nowhere. So why not use him this week and go for the most money that I can? But I do understand both sides of that argument. It's just it's always a very interesting conversation every week. And since we kind of developed that, you know, that back and forth about 3 weeks ago, I've just enjoyed this part of the show, just like kind of thinking about that to a certain degree. But you're right. Like at a place like this, a guy like Keith Mitchell that no one's going to take. I mean, he certainly could make a lot of sense. There's a bunch of guys like that for sure.
For sure. But the whole point is just you're playing game theory in the one and done with this, with guys that are all have like a similar chance to win. That, listen, you might think that, and I think it too, that Nikolai Højgaard's a way better player than Keith Mitchell overall. Who's going to end up with more career titles? Nikolai Højgaard would be like a minus 1,000 favorite on that, even though Keith Mitchell has one already. But for this week in particular, like when I take a look at the like percentage, like when you run some simulations, Højgaard has a 3.5% chance to win. Keith Mitchell has a 3.1% chance to win. That's not all that different.
No, I wouldn't. If you told me that Keith's was 2%, I would still say it's good enough to, you know, to kind of flex and go that way rather than just go with, you know, the meat and potatoes pick for the week.
Yeah, so
it's an interesting conversation. I like having it.
Yeah, or this is a spot to go down the board a little bit if you really wanted to. Like if you're feeling a Nico Echeverria rebound or a Max McGreevy or Alex Smalley, like even like you said, or Johnny Kiefer. Kiefer might be too popular. He might be that guy from down the board that everyone goes to. Hao Tong would be another one. Davis Thompson might be another one. Like these guys aren't like at the signature events. When you're taking the 45-1 to 80-1 guy versus Scotty Scheffler and Rory, like their actual chance of winning is just so low compared to the top. The best player in this field is probably Shane Lowry, who never wins.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when he's like the favorite, I mean, cue up the storm. The Sepp Straka storm, right? With like 1 hole to go, and the poor guy couldn't win. Unbelievable, that one. Oh God.
That one was tough. As soon, well, who was it who was winning that day? Was it Berger? Was Berger up by? I think he was up by 5 going into the final round.
Yeah, Berger was way up, and then all of a sudden the bear trap came up and caught him, and then next thing you know, like the clown car pulls up, and everyone's running around the green, and you're like, "Whoa, my head's spinning," a la Bridgman almost on Sunday. Like that's why I call it leaderboard gravity. Something happens where names start to fall that aren't normally bolstered by their talent, right? On a Sunday afternoon, they start to feel the gravity of the moment and the weight of what it is they're trying to pull off. And then all of a sudden they're just not there anymore. And it all becomes very interesting. Sometimes it even happens on a Saturday, a la Marco Penge or a guy like that, but like last weekend. But, there's definitely such a thing as leaderboard gravity on a Sunday.
One thing that Blickel was telling me about, because he tries to qualify for the U.S. Open every single year, and this was pertaining to Garrick Higo, that Higo performs really well against weak fields, performs very poorly against strong fields. And he kind of equated it to when he tries to qualify in the first qualification round that he goes to, he's the best guy who's out there. And that's confidence for him. He knows if he plays well, he's going to advance to the next round. And when he goes to the next round, he's playing like half of these guys in the tournament and live guys who are trying to qualify. And he's like, it's such a different mentality. Like it really does affect you, that knowing you're the best guy out there versus knowing, well, if these guys play their C game, they might beat me. Like I need to play an A+ game. There's extra pressure on you. And that usually goes really poorly. Now, you've tried to qualify for U.S. Opens before. Do you think that there is something to that? And in a field like this, do you think that's why you see some guys from the middle of the pack or long shots overperform what you might think and win a tournament like this? Because Scotty's not here. Rory's not here. Like, all I got to do is beat Shane Lowry. I can do that.
Oh, 100%. I mean, there's such a thing as like imposter syndrome for sure. And to see a guy like Jacob Bridgman break through when he knew he had Rory nipping at his heels, that was the hardest part of his day. It wasn't hitting a 6-iron, on a par 3 or something like that, or making a 10-foot putt to save par. The hardest part was him believing that he could actually take down the number 2 player in the world who just won the Masters a year ago. Like you get inside your own head. You go to local qualifying for US Open. And when you're a club pro, you're just used to playing stroke play tournaments all the time where, if you're a grinder or if you're a very talented player, whatever it is, you're just used to all of those emotions, right? And then you go there and you tee off and they're like, oh man, there's the town barber. And then there's like, the club champ and everything. And you're like, well, I'm not really thinking about those people. And then you make it through and there's a bunch of those. And then all of a sudden the field gets super shrunk. And then it's the best 3 from every single site that all of a sudden now go to a place and then they dump in a bunch of guys that like we make fun of at Corn Ferry Tour events and everything. And now you're like, huh, that's interesting. Like the group in front of me has, I'm trying to think of a name off the top of my head. I mean, the first mini tour event I ever played and Jim McGovern won, and he was the Shell Houston Open, winner. I'm like, what is this guy even doing here? Like I showed up and I'm like, I see his name on the board. I'm like, all right, well, this will be a waste of my time. It's human nature to kind of think that way. And if you could overcome that imposter syndrome, like kind of sensation and just kind of plow through and do your own thing. I mean, those are the people that make it. And, kudos to them for doing it. But I mean, the world needs ditch diggers too. It's a tough thing to pull off.
I've been really banging the drum for David Ford so far this week. I just think that his ball striking is immaculate. Will the rest of his game catch up? Who knows? Johnny Kiefer's kind of in the same situation. He's another guy who can't chip. So I'm guessing that it's one of the main reasons why these guys are not populating your betting card this week. But, I like to roll the dice. This is why I end up with seconds and thirds and not first place guys, because of little things like this. But when you see young players who are really deficient in one area of their game, what are you looking for from them? Because it does seem like we've seen it time and time again that it's not usually a progression to get better. Just one day they're better because they've done practice after taking a week off and they found something new. Do you think these guys are on that path, that their ball striking is so good that it just takes one little tweak and all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, here we go. They're one of the best guys out here now.
2 quick points on that, and I'm using 2 as a pun. Number 1, Rory was my 4th runner-up outright of the year. That's 15 runner-ups in 13 months that I've had. I don't even know how you do that. I don't know how that's possible, that you can be that close that many times and not have one of those guys cross the finish line. That's neither here nor there. The second part is that exactly where you're going can be explained with Johnny Kiefer and why he's such a good selection this week, right? The guy is impeccable with his ball striking right now. The putter is obviously not working. When was the last time the putter worked for Johnny Kiefer, Pat?
RSM.
And what are the greens like at RSM?
Like the greens here.
Exactly. So those are the types of things that you're looking for. So when I go out on the range, I am looking for those types of gentlemen, right? Sammy Valimaki's another perfect example of this, right? He's really hitting his irons well, and he tends to play golf courses, where you have to not use driver all the time and be a little more positional off the tee. You're like, okay, here's a guy that can kind of figure this thing out, a la RSM, where he won on Bermuda grass, right? Sammy could use a little help with the putter as well. He's going back to a comfortable grass. The shift from Pacific POA, which no one seems to be good at, even the players that everyone says is good at, like Max Homa and those types of guys. Nobody died. All right. So all of those types of players, even those guys don't consistently always putt well on that grass. But you come to Bermuda Town down here, or some of the other places, Southwind, Country Club of Jackson, if we ever go back there, out to Bermuda. RSM's another one, right? Like these guys that perform on this grainy weed are certainly going to pop again. And it like most people, if they don't pay attention to that, they're just gonna be like, oh my God, that guy came out of nowhere. It's like, no, he didn't. He was playing good, but because he didn't putt well, he finishes between 30 and 50 on tour, because you have to be able to be pretty good at everything each week if you want to be in the top 10 and certainly contend in top 5 and win. So like Kiefer is a perfect example of what you just kind of laid out there and why he's an excellent opportunity this week, especially earlier in the week before, the migration started.
So some CC at Jackson guys, just to put this through here, in terms of strokes gained total, Stephen Fisk, my guy, number 1, Rasmus Højgaard, number 2, Danny Walker, who putts really well on Bermuda. We saw that really emphasized at the Players' Championship a year ago. Christian Bezadenhout, Berger, Marty Doe. This is like the 8th time that I brought up Marty Doe. I feel like I should bet Marty Doe.
Well, all right. That I don't know about. I can't comment on that.
He's 6th in approach this year of players in the field.
But I will say this. So then Marty Doe, yes. Seabez, no. Seabez hasn't been his usual ball striking, kind of self. So even if the putter's always working, finding those other things to suddenly happen isn't necessarily like flicking a switch like you kind of put it before. Whereas for Kiefer, who's been hitting the ball so good, or Marty Doe, then they get on a grass where they're more comfortable, then those are the guys that certainly, there's a huge value opportunity there, because once they have 1 or 2 events back on a grass that they're comfortable, like why do we always talk about agronomy? There's a reason for it. There's a very, very strict reason for it. And, it's just one of those things that you have to pay attention to, because it will at times be like flipping a switch, especially when they go from West Coast to East Coast. That first week, there's going to be names that pop up and you're like, oh my God, every time this guy, PGA National, oh, this guy again, oh, there's Sam Ryder again. Oh, there's, Chris Kirk, or, because he doesn't putt well on POA, right? Then also, do you put him on the right grass? Are they playing good? Meaning, are they striking the ball good? Tee to green, look at those tee to green numbers and then track that against the Bermuda grass guys. You're going to find some people that all of a sudden are going to be all there on Thursday afternoon competing for like a first round leader. And you're going to be like, man, how did I miss that? Well, listen to this show and you won't miss it.
Top 10 guys tee to green over the past 6 months. Haotong is number 1. Jesper Svensson, number 2. Gerard, David Ford, Mac Meisner. Although Meisner has been less good since the calendar turned. Most of that's from the swing season. Michael Thorbjornsen, Thorbjorn Olesen, Nikolai Højgaard, Johnny Kiefer, Doug Gim. Then we're into Brooks, McGreevy, Zalatoris, Michael Brennan, Keith Mitchell. Mac Hughes, shockingly, on this tee to green list, which I would not have guessed.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that either. But a great Bermuda grass putter for sure.
Good putter in general, really.
Yeah, true.
And
definitely.
He does have a second place finish here as well, because Jeff was walking with his mom when he hooked it into the grandstands on the 18th hole.
I don't even know what to say to that.
He ended up losing to Sung. I think it was the year the Sung Jae won. I think that was 2020.
And since then, everyone bet Sung Jae on Bermuda.
Well, Sung Jae has only ever won on Bermuda, I think. Shriners, Wyndham. No, he didn't even win the Wyndham. He lost to Tom Kim. Where is Sungjae won? Sungjae doesn't win much. Where is Sungjae?
I don't know. I don't know where he is right now. I mean, he would have played. I mean, we're 7 events in. He would have played 9 events already, and we miss him. Come back, Sungjae.
We'll get more information going into next week at Bay Hill, but Justin Thomas made his return to golf at TGL this week. He's going to play next week at Bay Hill, he says. What did you see? Because you were there from Justin Thomas.
Well, it's funny, everyone loves to make fun of Joe and I and Matt because we're always at TGL. But Boston Common comes in last night, and we start asking them questions, and then all of a sudden, one of the journalists said, what did you think about seeing JT back out? Isn't that great? And Rory says, well, yeah. He goes, it's great to see him here, but I'm not looking forward to seeing him next week at Bay Hill. We're all like, was that news? Like, what just happened here? Stuff like that gets dropped all the time around that place because you get the media there. We have such close, intimate access with the players, and they're just always just talking about stuff. It's very similar to the situations that I find myself here on the road all the time, and you learn things. And Justin has been practicing and playing golf for over a month, right? The microdiscectomy or whatever the technical term is for what he did, right? All went very, very well. They gave him a clean bill of health 4 or 5 weeks ago. This isn't something new that he's been working on. Now, he self-imposed said that I wouldn't be very interested in in what I'm up to next week, but he goes, I need to start playing some golf. I've been playing for a month. I'm itching to do this. I can't wait to go back. We asked him questions about, you can look at the transcript. We asked him questions about is this going to change your golf swing at all? He's like, no, my DNA should be the same. He goes, I'm just going to feel a lot better. He's like, my dad has a bad back. He's never had back surgery. I have a bad back. I had a nerve issue. The nerve issue is fixed. He goes, I feel 1,000 times better. He goes, I feel great about where I'm at. He goes, how I've been playing. He goes, I'm rusty. But he goes, I feel like I could play some really, really good golf now. So at Bay Hill, right out of the chute, players, maybe not. But, I think JT, as he works his way into the season, is going to be back to a world-class JT. Maybe even a little bit, maybe even a smidge better.
So Justin Thomas wins the Masters. You heard it here first.
Yeah. I don't know about that. But, the Masters is coming, man.
It's
soon.
6
weeks away.
So do you think that we'll be able to do this show in person next week when I'm at TGL?
I worked on that last night, and yes, I'm very confident that you and I will do it together. Doing it at TGL, I got a pretty affirmative. Yeah, let's figure that out, Keith. And I'm working on a cameraman. So yes, bring your gear. Your travel gear, like I do, like I am right now. And we're going to figure it out, but we're definitely going to do it together for sure.
I love that. That'll be a lot of fun in person. So before I let you get out of here and get back to the course, start sniffing the grass or whatever it is you and Matt get up to, walking around the grass.
Just Matt.
So he's on his hands and knees sniffing the grass.
Well, all my grass days were in college. Right now I moved on.
Is there anything else that we should know about guys that you've seen on the grounds, the course itself, that maybe you've been holding back on us with?
Well, I would never hold anything back as far as what I'm reporting on course conditions wise or whatever. I think people need to be very concerned about the wind on Friday afternoon into Saturday if this forecast holds up. I also think the conditions are very firm and fast. If you're up, you could check Max Homa off your list. He's right here in front of me.
Ask him if he's going to win. You won't.
No, I won't. You got to remember, I'm the only guy sitting here in front of a step and repeat with a microphone and a camera. He's awkwardly trying to avoid me right now.
As he should be. I mean, that's going to be no different than when we're in person doing this show. I'm going to be trying to awkwardly avoid you, and I'm going to be doing a show with you on camera at the same time.
Oh, well, thanks for that. Thanks for all the love, No, it's going to be firm and fast. I don't think that the rain that we're going to get is going to make that much a difference to the turf. And I think that guys are going to need some very, very well-timed, short game saves and or scoring opportunities on these par fives. And they're going to get some good and bad breaks. And you have to know that as we're coming down the stretch and be prepared for those mentally as you go through whatever your Sunday sweat ritual is.
Any opinion on Chris Kirk, who's approach play has been awesome, but can't do anything else right now. Is that good enough for him here?
I feel like it's good enough for him to definitely top 20. There are other concerns I have that don't put me in a. So I bet him the year that he won over Cole when I was here, and I saw what he was doing. What was that, 3 years ago?
Yes.
Nice little like 35-1. So obviously you had Cole.
Yes.
But, there were other things that I saw there that were going on that just looked a lot more comfortable to me. So I think that I think that the level of comfort here is gonna show some signs of life, but I wouldn't be on him for an outright this week. No.
Joel Damon because he wears a bucket hat.
Joel and Gino are here this week with separate people, obviously. I love Joel. Is Joel going to win on the PGA Tour?
He did win that one time, didn't he?
Oh, he did. You're right. Corrales?
Yeah, Corrales or Puerto Rico. What is next? Is Puerto Rico or Corrales next week? Is it Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is opposite API, and Corrales is now like opposite. They moved it. It's like opposite of the Open Championship or something.
Oh, interesting. I figured it would be opposite, like, I don't know, Doral.
No, that's one flight, isn't it? Myrtle?
I don't
Myrtle.
know.
Yeah, I don't know either. We're just talking now.
All right.
You ready?
Let's do it. Hit me with some questions.
All right. Do you like the bear trap? Yes or no?
Yes.
What size bed do you sleep in?
A California king.
Oh, what defines it as a California king?
I believe it's longer. I believe that's the difference. Or it's like slightly wider or slightly longer, one of the two, than just a normal king. There's also an Alaskan king, which I believe is even larger.
Well, now that I could figure.
See, just shout out to my good friends at helixsleep.com. Code Mayo get you a discount over there.
Here we go. Folks, I am not endorsed by Helix at all. All right.
I am. I can vouch for it. I got 5 of them in my house now.
Oh, well, there you go. You and I have met before. I don't remember you were strikingly tall. Why'd you get a long bed?
I just like big beds. Who doesn't like a big bed? A lot of room to maneuver in a big bed, Keith.
Okay, next question. Do you have mirrors on the ceiling in your bedroom?
I do not.
Do you have any pets?
No.
If you could move the Cognizant anywhere on the current PGA Tour schedule, where would you move it?
Could this be played in January with the weather or no?
Ooh, that'd be tough. That'd be tough. Late January for sure.
You know where I'd like to see this? The week of the Zurich. I think that's the perfect placement for this tournament.
Oh.
And I'd like to see it as the match play tournament.
Okay. All right. Better finish this week, Homa or Berger?
Is Max still standing there?
No, he's not. I checked.
Berger.
Who was your first celebrity crush?
Topanga?
What?
Yeah. I don't know what her real name is. The chick from Boy Meets World.
Oh, okay. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate your athleticism.
7.
If there was a zombie apocalypse, what would be your first weapon of choice?
Machine gun.
Last one. Give me one name in this field nobody is talking about.
Kevin Roy.
But you already talked about Kevin Roy.
Well, I mean, it's me. I'm the one talking about him. No one else is talking about him because he's probably not going to miss the cat.
I've got one for you.
Okay. If you say Austin Smotherman, you're off the show.
Well, it does begin with an A. But I'm going to go Adam Hadwin.
Hey, sponsors exemption. He's in. I would love. Hadwin was like T2 2 weeks ago in Panama.
Yeah, that's a great story. The guy's like fighting his way back to the tour, and he was T2 in Panama. And when I saw his name, I was like, oh, I got to go way down the board. And I saw Highsmith, and I saw some other guys down there. And then I was like, where's Hadwin? Right?
No, he's up.
He's like plus 12,000 to win.
Yeah,
Good Bermuda grass guy. He won the Valspar. Very similar type of comp. Here. Hey, there you go.
Yeah, he has the same. He has the same odds as Webb Simpson
and Sam Ryder, which I know you're Ryder. You know what I mean?
He loves this course. Even when I was watching the highlights from last year, it may have been his only good tournament, but he played really well here, at least for one round that I saw.
Yeah, I'd keep an eye on that one.
First round leader, Sam Ryder is what you're saying?
I've said my piece.
Jimmy Stanger?
No, you got me on one. That's it.
Anyone betting Nick Dunlap this week?
Certainly not anyone in the left gallery.
Well, where do you want to? I feel like you want to miss left here over right, don't you? Isn't all the water on the right for the most part?
Not his kind of left.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Yeah, I mean, man, that first round last year at Augusta, I saw 2 tee shots, and it was like, I shuddered. It was unbelievable. I was like, whoa, bro. Yeah.
We've been talking about different times, like, I'll run through my like normal bets of the week and I'll end up losing them all, like whatever. It's good fun. But there are certain circumstances throughout the year where I do invest a ton of money on high leverage situations. Hole number 10 on Saturday last week being one of those things. Hopefully something at Bay Hill presents itself that I normally do pick off if the right opportunity arises and the market opens. But I think the biggest generational wealth building opportunity I ever made was even money to miss the cut. Nick Dunlap at the Masters last year.
I mean,
even money.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
That was even money?
Yeah. People forget. Because
everyone wants to bet
everyone wants to bet everyone to make the cut at the Masters because it's an easy cut to make. It's like, this guy's not doing anything right now.
Like 4 weeks ago at TGL, it was even money between Sahith and Kevin Kisner for longest drive on this one hole, which was a definite driver hole. So that was like the trick. I was like, wait, what hole are they playing that on? It was like, oh, it's a 535-yard par 4. They're both definitely hitting driver. Kisner happened to go first because at the time Jupe Links had the honor. So Kisner hits the drive, doesn't reach the fairway. Didn't reach the fairway. They were even money. I mean, that was a generational wealth opportunity just on even money. You could have bet everything you had. As many, like, you got more kids coming. You could bet ones that aren't even born yet, and you could bet their college money. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Oh well, college
like
college money for me is not the same as college money for you guys. I think like one semester of college in the States is like equivalent to a 4-year degree in Canada.
How does that work out academically?
Yeah, pretty well. I mean, we don't have our. I guess we have 2, 3, I think, universities inside like the top 30 or top 50 or something like that. McGill's very, very good. University of Toronto's good. UBC is really good. But for the most part, it's kind of the same with population-wise. There's no like super high-end like an MIT or a Harvard or a Stanford or whatever it might be. But I feel like that's the case in every country on earth besides the States. Yet, there's far more colleges, and all of them seem super expensive in America.
Well, my son's 18. He's a senior in high school, and that story hits home. So I'm going to go back to the range and try to find more winning bets.
Yes, and you should have just bet all that money on Sahith over Kisner and just pray he didn't top it.
When Kisner went and he didn't even reach the fairway, I looked at Joe and I was like, that was unbelievable. Well, just what an opportunity.
I will see you in person next week. Good luck with your bets, Keith. Read the Line is where you can get all of Keith's stuff. And you can subscribe to his newsletter. You can get the free plays. Then you can get the premium plays as well, along with more insight from the course, which will be coming out on Wednesday. So after you listen to this, you can go subscribe them. Boom. You can find the email in your inbox, just like you can find the Mayo Media newsletter completely free to join just by going to Substack under Mayo Media or hitting the description of this pod or video, and that will populate in your inbox on Wednesday afternoon with all the final plays, all of the updates, everything you need to know if anything has changed throughout the course of the week. All right, I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!